Future Hacker. Life. Path. Future.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Future Hacker. I'm your host, Olinga Taeed, and today we are talking to Simon Woodhatch about MiMeta, the Metaverse of Values. Simon is an experienced game developer with a passion for delivering authentic gaming experiences. Simon's journey began with a frustration over the industry's shift towards microtransactions and content-focused monetization, which he felt compromised the excitement of new games. Determined to create a different gaming experience, Simon started his own studio, focusing on delivering complete experiences to players without pay-to-win elements. Through his TikTok account, Simon aimed to gain traction and funding to assemble a team and bring his dream game to life. His path led him across paths with our friend Olinga Taeed, whom we interviewed back in 2021, resulting in a collaborative effort to create a demonstrator for MiMeta, guided by Olinga's direction. Hey Simon, what's up? It's great to have you with us today.
Thanks. I'm honored to be a part of this, and thanks for inviting me on.
You know, in our previous interview back in 2021 with Olinga, he discussed this transformative potential of technology in converting intangible concepts like love and hope into measurable and transactional values. Now it's so exciting to see MiMeta, the Metaverse of Values, on the verge of launch and currently on a roadshow for demonstrations, right? And you have played a vital role in the development of this project, so it's pretty exciting to be talking to you today, making this invaluable resource for our discussion. So today, we'll dive into the foundations of MiMeta and explore its fundamental principles. So let's begin. Could you just enlighten us of the core principles of the building blocks that underpin MiMeta?
Yes, of course. MiMeta is a social metaverse at its core. So to begin with, it is purely to go out and meet your friends and interact with people that you would normally interact with in real life. You'd go into the metaverse and interact and do things with them as well. It's going to be gaming behind that, but it's a subsection. At its core, it's a metaverse. It's for interacting with each other, and it's for playing together. So it's a metaverse and a game.
Okay, and then how does the value parts come into that?
Right, so it's value-driven. So we have a value-driven social metaverse that we're building. Everybody has their own values. There's 8 billion different sets of values in the world. And what we intend to do is allow each individual person with their own individual values to experience the metaverse the way that they want to experience it. So, for example, if I'm a gamer, I like games, I'm a programmer, I want to see those kinds of things as I'm walking around. I want to see those stores, I want to see those advertising, I want to see games that are pertaining to the stuff that I like. So as I enter my values into the system, it will then display these things back to me as I walk around and interact with the world. And that's what we plan on doing. We have 8 billion different types of values. There's that many people in the world, so we're going to try and scale it up and incorporate that many different iterations of the one metaverse. So I could be walking around viewing all of that, but you may be into something completely different. So whilst looking at the same store and standing next to each other in the same metaverse, you would see different things through the windows that I would. And you could go and interact with them if you wanted to display them to me. You can show them to me. I can show you what I see or not. That's going to be your choice.
So that's basically you're saying that I'm going to be able to enter this space, this digital space, and I'm going to somehow set up, what I like, my values, what I'd like to see in there. And my personal experience in there is going to be customized according to what I say that I value, right?
Exactly. Yes, exactly that.
And that I would say should be the reason enough for me to be truthful to my values. Because one thing that I was thinking is that how to make people be honest about their values, because everybody wants to say that, oh, I don't have prejudice, so I'm honest, or I'm whatever I am. But the thing is that when you say that, you're just going to see what you actually, say that you value, you think that it's going to be the good incentive enough for people to be truthful about it?
Yeah, of course, you may choose to have a separate avatar that is not true to your values. You want to experience some things outside of your comfort zone, but the main allure of the metaverse is that the things that you hold dear to yourself, the things that you really genuinely want to be seeing, will be displayed to you if you have the same value set entered in the digital world as you do in the real world.
Okay, I got it. And is there any business model behind it?
Yeah, there's quite a large scale corporate model behind it. We intend on having plenty of advertising in there. We're going to allow big corporations and small, big creators and small and big businesses to have their own stores where they can sell their real world products in a digital format. So you could, for example, the one that we like to use at the moment is the Food Hub. Everybody knows what Food Hub is. It's like the app. You go on the app, you order your food from your local takeaway, and they could have their own store or multiple stores placed all over the place. You may have your house or your shop here, and their store might be next door, as an example. And you could just walk in their digital store version, go and look at their menu, place your order, have it delivered to your actual house in real time.
Oh, okay, that's pretty cool.
In real time, that's the intention. It's a ways off yet, but that's where we intend to be.
That's cool. So, as a user, like, what do I have to have or to do? How complex should it be? Like, is it for regular people? Do I have to
absolutely.
be
So
a heavy user?
We want to make it completely user friendly and so simple as. What's a simple example I could give? I haven't prepared one for that, but you've all used a television. Everyone's used a remote, a Sky remote on a TV. Everyone's used. It's going to be no more difficult than that. As long as you can learn how to move around, look around, and then press a button to interact with something, the rest will be given to you. You'll press that, and it will tell you, this is the shop you're looking at. Do you want to order? Have you linked your wallet? Do you have your address on there? Would you like to put it on there? This kind of thing. It's going to be presented to you in a very easy way.
Yeah, I was just wondering that because, when we talk about, for example, NFTs, right? And I'm really not a user at all. But when I hear about it and people say, okay, but for NFTs, you kind of have to have a crypto account, and to have a crypto account, you need to do that, you need to do that. And then it's not that easy. And you have to dig into blockchain, which is not user friendly at all. So how do you guys plan to do like transactions there? Do people have to have those either cryptocurrency accounts? Like, do they have to deal with NFTs, or will they have this simple way as well?
Sort of yes and sort of no. Let me deconstruct that for you. I'm a living example as to how somebody with absolutely no experience in the blockchain whatsoever can easily set up a wallet. And that will be all you need. A wallet on one of the many trusted sources. MetaMask is the one that I used. It's very well known. There's a lot of regulation. It's very secure. And a lot of people talk about these massive passcode phrases. Yes, that is one gripe. You will have to write down your passphrase on a piece of paper and lock it somewhere, or put it digitally somewhere locked away so that no one else can get it. And that's your password. Once you've got that and you've got your wallet, everything else is smart contract. You got your smart TV. You press your button, it records your program for you. It's all done like that. It's all automatic. So when we talk about selling NFTs within the game, I'm building a system where you can create your own objects. So you can create your own building or your own clothing or your own armors or weapons or cap, whatever. And these objects can be turned into an NFT, which then belongs to you. It's your property then, and it goes straight onto your wallet. So it's as simple as clicking a link button, type your password in, Will you link it? Yes. And then that becomes yours. It's stored on your wallet, wherever that is, whether it's a USB or on your laptop. And then you can use that. You can use that later to sell it if you want. You can do it in-game. It's all going to be smart contract based. So it's a click of a button in-game, just as you would purchase some diamonds on a microtransaction game, or just as you would purchase a DLC, downloadable content, for one of the big titles where you download 10 gigabytes worth of new maps. Exactly the same concept. Secure, easy to use. No messing around with getting brokerage accounts and putting your passports and licenses on. None of that stuff.
Okay, got it. Sounds encouraging. And which stage are you guys in this development? So I understand that you guys are doing this demo to the market, right?
Yeah, we have a pre-alpha at the moment out on the market. There's no smart contracting on it. There's no data. There's no transactions that happen within it. It's just an example, a very early example. I built this thing in like 4 months in my spare time on my laptop. Father of two, forgive me. It's not the best graphically pleasing thing, but it gives the concept and it shows what we intend to do for the future. It shows how we're going to scale things up, how the values will work, how different users can experience the world in different ways at the same time, in real time. So that's the concept that we've got. We've got the pre-alpha out. It's a demo. You can download it. It's on the Apple Store for Android. It's on the test flight for iPhone. And if anybody's in our Discord, they can get the PC version. And it's all free, no transactions, no data. But that's where we are. We are at the end of our concept. We've got our pre-alpha, and we're ready to start major production.
And when are you guys planning to have a full launch on that?
When we get some money.
So now it's funding time, right?
We're seeking funding at the moment from VCs and from other areas. Yes.
Okay, awesome. And so I'd like to talk to you about many topics around the metaverse. But before that, I've also heard, so I'm on Discord, right? I was invited by Olinga and I was checking it out and I saw this just amazing celebrity list that got engaged with a couple of causes. So how is that going? And can we already talk about that and talk about some of those names? Is it still confidential?
Most of it is confidential at the moment, yes. But we have got a couple. If you've seen them on the Discord, feel free to name them. That's fine if you've seen them there. But yes, we've had a few big name celebrities that lots of people will know. We've had them come forward and register their interest in joining the metaverse, in having their branding in there, in participating in some of the disability awareness and some of the other awareness, the charity stuff that we're doing. We're big supporters of charitable causes as well. That's one of the big things that's going to be in MiMeta. We want to attract people from all areas, not just...
Yeah, and not just the people that are already used to this gaming environment, right? Yeah. Because, and again, so my understanding is that I was when people started talking about metaverse now, like currently nowadays, right? Some people just thought about Second Life all over again. But now with some better technologies involved, of course, because back then it was like super. But the intent was similar. Have people meet on whatever, and I think it still exists. Does it still exist everywhere? I don't know. Somebody told me they're still around.
I haven't logged in for maybe 10 years, so.
Right? Oh, it's been so long. So what's your thought about what happened? Do you think it was lack of technology, like we weren't ready back then and it was a big hype, then it was gone? And we did see this happening and it happened again, right? People just start talking about the metaverse and maybe too soon because we're clearly not there. It's supposed to be something way more immersive, and the use of technology is supposed to be way better, right? So, and we saw Facebook changing the name and then changing their mind again. So what's your thought about that, about the momentum? And are we just going too fast and the hype is too strong and then we're all over back again? What's your thought around that?
I think, no, we're not going too fast at all. I think now, right this moment, is the perfect time for companies to start getting involved in building a real metaverse. And the concept of metaverse, in my understanding, is very similar to what you've just explained, something that's technologically a lot more advanced than the Second Life concept that we had before, where you go in and you interact and you have your own spaces, you have your own buildings, you put your own shop up, you sell your wares, you collect items from the game, sell it to people, you take that money back into your real life, put it into your takeaway or buy a new pair of shoes, not necessarily making a living off this thing, but getting some extra bits. And I think that's where we want to take it, but no one's done it yet. That's I see a lot of, I don't want to badmouth anyone, but I see a lot of metaverses out there at the moment that I don't consider to be metaverses, but they're branding themselves as metaverses. I'm not going to name anyone, but I see a lot of it. And I think what we're doing is we're taking that the step further. We're putting the values in. We're allowing users to trade amongst themselves. We're creating value. We're actually creating value inside the digital world, and we're adding gaming to it. It's no longer just a social space where you talk and you meet in a room and have a conference or do a bit of education in sort of a closed space or even have a safe space. It's got the gaming concept as well. So we're going to have the shooting, we're going to have the racing, the hide and seek, the flight, planes, pixels, all of that good stuff. That's where we're going to take it. And I think that's what a true metaverse, the concept of it, what everybody believes it to be, that's what everyone's waiting for.
And how long do you think, let's say that, we have the super acceptance, we get the funding, how long does it take to be able to build it?
I've predicted that given the right amount of staff, full time, where I can focus on it 5-6 days a week to 8 to 12 hours a day, I reckon I can pull it off in 2 years.
Wow, 2 years, okay. Okay, let's go back to some points that I was thinking about, when we first got our intro call and introduced me about the project. So one of my concerns was around safety. So, with the immersive, interconnected nature of the virtual space, there are concerns about ensuring safeguards that prevent illegal activities or maybe harm to others. And we actually have heard already of people on those, current metaverses, of people talking about sexual harassment and even, I don't even name, but, really bad things that already happened on the real world going there. How do you envision maintaining a safe environment? And are there specific measures or maybe specific technologies that you believe should be implemented to address those potential risks and protect users from any harmful experiences?
Yes. So I'll dissect that in two separate. So first and foremost, the first initial point of contact is that users are responsible in a lot of senses for what they are doing within a game. Even within a chat room or within a voice room, or if there's a camera on, I don't know whether we're going to allow that yet. It's not been talked about. I haven't made any plans for cameras to be allowed. It's going to be text and vocals only currently. But the users are responsible in a way for their own input and for their own output. You can mute each other. You can not look at something. You can press the exit button. There's a cross button on every internet page. If you don't like what you're seeing, you can remove yourself from that. And to protect yourself, that's the first point of call. The second, from our side, from our perspective, it is data. We're going to track everything, absolutely everything that's said, that's done everywhere you go, every motion, every transaction. And if there's easy ways of putting in AI safeguards to red flag certain phrases, to red flag certain actions. And all it takes is for one of those to pop up on one of our consoles, and we can press one button and teleport straight there and see what's happening. I say teleport because you have to go into the game and have a look. You wouldn't. It's not like the Matrix code. You can't just, I see some code changing. He must be doing this. But you'd go in and you'd look and you'd say, oh, okay, that sounds like harassment to me. Warning. Or you might see something that's genuinely like bullying. Instantly, 3 people trapping someone in, calling them names, being abusive, like instantly, like you 3. It's a bit of a god complex, I suppose, but you could literally pick them up, pop them out somewhere into a timeout room and say, no, that's naughty. There are a lot of things that we can do to safeguard people, but first and foremost, it is most definitely up to users to make sure that they're not engaging in those kinds of things.
Yes.
You can't stop stupid being stupid. You really can't.
They will be anywhere, right?
Anywhere,
Real world, metaverse, or whatever.
Anything
anywhere
in life. You cannot stop it. But you can put a few things in place to make sure that it doesn't become abusive or illegal. Obviously, the metaverse has to stay within the bounds of the law. So there's certain things that we might like to put in, but we just simply couldn't. It just makes it easier.
Yeah, I think that this answer, you're also answering another question that I had, that I thought it was interesting that you told me back then that you're also allowing negative values alongside the positive ones.
Yes.
And I thought it was, super intriguing, a little unsettling, super intriguing. But, I remember you told me that, as long as you're playing within the law, on the same time, it raises these questions of how to strike a balance between, granting this freedom of expression and at the same time maintaining a safe and respectful environment. So you believe that it can be, from your previous answer, that it can be both, user moderated and AI moderated. You think that's enough? But still, I'm wondering, when you guys made the decision of having those negative values, is that because negative can mean different things depending on your culture, just like moral?
Absolutely.
Is that what's behind that, or are there negative values that are definitely always going to be even acceptable
There's one word beginning with P that I could say right now I wouldn't, but that is a value that we just simply wouldn't have. Because of laws, morals, obviously, because of morals, but the laws that are in place prevent that from even being a discussion. Yeah. Then there's lots of values that you might find to be negative that another person might find to be educational or intriguing. A psychiatrist might decide to study certain aspects of another person's psyche, whereas a swimmer might find it completely offensive. You see, it can be negative to one, whereas it could not be negative to another. There are certain things, there are certain points, certain discussions, topics that we will outright outlaw completely. You just can't allow that kind of thing to happen. You would be seen to be very, very odd indeed if you were allowing it. But a lot of stuff, especially culturally, might be negative in one culture and another culture completely accepted. Is a really simple example. In England, we culturally have one wife. Most of us. I say most of us, that's probably not correct anymore. It's very multicultural now. But in other countries, you can have 4 or 7 or 10, and it's completely accepted. Whereas over here, that's kind of taboo. We would shun that off and say, oh, no, that doesn't seem right. Do you see there's a lot of things we have to allow people to do. Obviously, there's going to be areas of interest that we sort of lock down and say, okay, that is just moving in the wrong direction. It's very abusive. It's very bullying. The content's just not nice anymore. You know, we'll have to move that one away, push it to the side, stop people from seeing that value set.
Yeah, I get it. I completely get it.
It's fine, I think.
Yeah. No, it's good. Like, you can't be creating a bubble. You have to let people, you know. I was just having a conversation before this interview, you know, about generative AI, and it's a specific tool that it's without censorship, and it was the very same rationale that, you know, who are us to decide? There's the part of legislation and education and awareness that must always be there. But besides that, why a company owner should be deciding whether the content is right or not. So, you know, there's a lot of room for discussions around that, right? Okay, so I have another super important and dear topic to me, which is addictions, right? And it's And the reason I relate it so much with the metaverse is because even the gaming experience behind that, right? And I interviewed a lot of people from the gaming industry regarding the future of gaming, and there's always a topic that comes back again because, and I think that you said yourself that sometimes it's just easier to be on the digital world or on a game or on a metaverse than dealing with our lives. So how do you guys plan to approach addictive behavior and, you know, mental health of the users? Is there anything that you guys plan to tackle this issue to ensure that, you know, well-being is taken care of? Any specific features or guidelines that you're considering? So, you know, just to care for the users that are just going too far, or maybe present any type of behavior that could be very damaging on the real life as well?
Yes. Absolutely. To all of that, yes, we have a system in place specifically designed to alert people around you to your mood. So the main point of discussion that we're having with the team at the moment internally is, how do you convince a person to truthfully display their feelings? You would know that it's a difficult thing for somebody with depression, anxiety, even insomnia, to come forward and say to their friends, to their peers, to their therapist, I have a problem. I'm not feeling great. I need help. That is so difficult for some people to say. How do we then make it easy? How do we make it really simple for them to be able to press a button and forget that they've said it, and not feel like they've opened out, and not feel like they've had that conversation, that anxiety hasn't come up? A colour can be displayed above their head. We're going to have a rainbow system, happy, sad, ecstatic, excited. We're going to have emojis mixing with it. And we intend on having this warning system as well. So it can be somebody that's thinking about doing the worst. Just before that happens, they may be in the metaverse. They may be walking around, and we're going to give them the option with a little button at the bottom of a menu somewhere, just to press it, and it's going to send out an alarm signal to their chosen peer, whether that's a friend online or a family member or the police or their therapist or whatever it is. It's going to send a ping to their phone or to their what's that doorbell thing called? That doorbell app. You can link that to it as well.
Yeah.
You can link that doorbell app to it, and it pings your phone like your doorbell's ringing off. It's very similar to that. We want to add these things in to allow people to have the option to display themselves as not feeling great or not happy, or on the flip side of that, you just got married, ecstatic. Absolutely. You know, we want people to be able to have this option. We haven't seen it in a game anywhere else before. So having the option to ping your friends while you're in the digital world to say, something's not right, I need help. And it might not even be for that. It could be used for break-ins. It could be used for diabetic hypos. It could be used for medical conditions as well. So we want to incorporate this. We want to have this option there available for players, for users, to be able to display
and I think
themselves.
that's just a great example that you gave. That's one of the questions I had for you, which is how could a value-driven virtual space create a positive impact on the real world? And that's just one example, right? But going further into that, given that you guys are going to be a values-driven universe, can we somehow link it to the causes here on the real world? So let's say that I'm into ESG or into whatever, protecting the nature, or I'm a vegan, or I'm into the disabilities cause, which is the example that we have there. We could be somehow funding real world projects or seeing the impact on the real world as well.
And we've already internally discussed this. We want to take it a step further than that. So as well as planting trees and helping to do Greenpeace and move people away from carbon, change their footprint level, etc., companies that join the metaverse, our metaverse, will have a requirement. Every year, they will have to set aside an example and show how they have contributed to this X, Y, or Z targets that they've been set for joining in. So as well as their entrance into the metaverse, they're also producing something in the real world to benefit. And we'll be able to list all of these benefits. We'll be able to list all of the extras that these companies have done on top of their business to help, whether it be nature or a charity or mental health or a hospital, whatever it is. It can be local. Everything can be localized. I think some of the most biggest corporations in the world, we worked out that if it was like 0.000000001% or something like that, it's a ridiculously small percentage. And if that was pushed aside, you could there's so much that could be done. I won't even go into it, but that was we've had that internal discussion, and the benefits that could come from it if it was to take off globally the way we want it to. Oh my, world changing. Yeah, make everything better.
I love the vision. I absolutely love the vision. Yes. I have a few more questions. One is that when you mentioned to me that, we were talking about safety and how you can track all the data and all the transactions, it's just reminds me of how are you guys going to take care of the privacy concerns, right? How you guys are planning to protect the data users? Because if you're saying that we can track everything for safety reasons, and we have to, and I definitely agree with that. And at the same time, we have this potential to blur the boundaries between virtual and the physical worlds. Who will own the data? And this is something that we usually discuss here in Future Hacker about, who will own the data in the future? Like, are we finally going to be able, talking about decades from today, will we ever be the owners of our own data? And will we ever finally get paid by that? Today, how it works, we have the platforms, like we have, those Facebooks and Instagrams and TikToks and all those social platforms, even the gaming platforms. Yeah, the company owns the data, and they sell our data. Like we, as users, we don't get anything. We do get to use their environment because they paid a lot for that. So that's it is. But still, we always ask our guests, like, will we ever be the owners of our own data? So when you guys will have access to that, as much as the transaction is going to be different. So I understand that maybe it's not going to be the traditional ads format. You guys are going to have all the transactions and stuff, but will the users ever be able to own their own data, or are you guys keeping the same model as we currently have, in which the platform owns it and maybe not use it for profit? But how are you guys approaching this discussion?
There's a lot of yeses and nos in that. So Firstly, advertising, because that's the quickest one to get out of the way. The adverts are not going to be traditional. Like, you're scrolling through your phone at the moment, an ad pops up, you've got to watch it for 5 seconds. None of that. You can walk past them. You'll be walking past them. It's there. You look at it if you want. You don't look at it if you don't want. It's paid for. It's done. There it is. Okay, that's out of the way. Data. Does the user own the data? So firstly, I'd like to say, what are you going to do with hundreds and hundreds of megabytes of data telling you everywhere you've ever walked in a game, everything you've ever interacted with in a game, every time you've looked and talked to something, the entire speech conscript between you and your AI counterpart? What are you going to do with that?
No.
What are you going to do with that? It's a question.
No.
You have no idea, I know what we can do with it.
That's junk to me, right? Yeah, exactly.
I know exactly what we can do with it, but what can every individual... So imagine 8 billion people joined it tomorrow. You'd all need a massive hard drive to store all your data on. And we've got them, but it's physical. Then it becomes, if you want to own that data, you can keep it and have it. What are you going to do with it? Nothing. There's no facility at the moment for an individual user to sell his value preferences and data to a company. There's a facility for selling millions of people's worth of data and what they look at, but not individual. So we're creating the value system. Olinga himself, he coined the entire concept. I forget the exact name of it, but it was the God metric, was what the Vatican called it.
The God metrics, yeah.
And it's the tangible data set of love and value and how a person interacts in the world. And so we're going to take that data set, and then that is what can be sold to people and companies and big corporate. And then what we're giving the user in return is the metaverse to use and to interact with. You're getting all of your NFT objects that you can sell to and from each other. Just like YouTube and TikTok and Twitter, how people become sort of quasi-famous within those little spheres and bubbles. You could probably do the same thing in MiMeta and be very well known for creating extremely good clothing, really good buildings, really good weaponry with great stats, sell all of that on to people that want to buy it. Maybe make you hundreds of them, sell them really cheap. You get a lot of people following you. The possibilities, the capabilities of it are quite endless at the moment until we get something concrete and set in stone. Okay, this is the path that we've built for you. Now walk it. The possibilities are endless at the moment. So, yes.
And, in my mind, and thinking about like a further future, right? Not 2 years from now, but maybe a decade, I don't know. And that's actually what bothered me hearing about the metaverse today, is because I think that the evolution, like the real thing, should be more immersive. Maybe we'll just create another catchy name by then, but, more not only talk and see, but feel and truly experience.
I know where you're going with that.
So how far do you think we are from that?
50 years.
Yeah, it's a guess, right? Because 15?
50 at least.
50?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to give you a gem of knowledge right now. So computers, every 2 years they shrink, right? So the data chips that we used in the 1950s were the size of entire rooms. Just to store a few kilobytes of data is like 150 words for a room. Now that is 150 billion words in a finger point. That's 50 years. Yeah? Do it again. Just imagine how powerful computers are going to be in 50 years' time. The coding that can go into it. The artificial intelligence that we have now is not really artificial intelligence. It's not sentient. It's pattern recognition. And it's very, very fast and very, very good at it. But it's not sentient yet. In 50 years' time, it's possible that it could be. when that happens, if we say to the computer, all right, you've got a quantum computer here, it's frozen, it's in a flip state between two separate parts of our universe, go ahead and use all the power of that to build me a system that I can put my hand in and feel inside. And maybe it can. Maybe it will be able to do that, but I don't think we're going to do that anytime soon. We can put a glove on and make it resist our hand as the object is picked up. That's in existence now. We've got the eyes. We can put the eyes, we can put the glove on, we can put the full suit on with the vibrations and the impact. But what to feel the wind on your arm as you're standing on the beach and to smell the breeze, that's so far away. From a coding perspective, from a programmer, that is so far away. We are.
But you still. So I see. I what I hear is that you still think that we'll get there, but it's just that
we will.
It's really far, right?
We'll get there, absolutely. With the way that computers advance, how fast they advance, I don't see it taking more than 100 years. But hey, it might take 90 before we can literally stand in the room and feel it. And yeah.
We might still be alive,
Well, we're delving into ridiculous theories now, but there might be a chip that someone puts in your brain one day and it does it all for you. But again, I think that's how, a pinprick of data right now, 150 billion words, like that's, and you need to shrink that again and again and again to be able to, because the brain we don't even understand it yet.
Yeah, that's true. Exactly. Okay, listen, Simon, I really loved this conversation.
It's been great.
And I really want to, keep, following up and see, how you guys develop. And as I said, we talked to Olinga like 2 years ago, and he accomplished so much, in just 2 years, and more 2 years for the full launch, hopefully. So, whoever is listening to our interview and is interested about, knowing more and stay updated, or who knows, even funding it. So what's the path?
Go into any search bar and type in MiMeta, MiMeta.life. And that website will take you everywhere else.
Perfect. Thank you. It's been such a pleasure, and I'm truly cheering for you guys.
Cheers. Thanks for having me on.
Future Hacker. Life. Path. Future.